welcome to the Law of Positivism podcast. I'm your host, Shireen, and I'm the creator of Law of Positivism. I'm here to help you on your spiritual and healing journey. I am a certified yoga and meditation teacher, a student of Chinese medicine, a doula, a Reiki practitioner, and a passionate, highly sensitive person. I want to use my knowledge to channel information and messages for you to grow on all levels. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode. I'm very grateful that you're here, and I'm so excited to share with you this week's guest and topic. I firstly just want to thank everyone who's been pre-ordering my book, The Law of Positivism, Live a Life of Higher Vibrations, Love and Gratitude. It's been so beautiful connecting with you, and also I've been giving away free oracle card readings for those who pre-order the book. It's going to be released right after the summer solstice in June, and I'm really blessed to be able to share everything that I've learned through my path and give the tools that can help you to create a more aligned and smooth flow in your life. And I've been so deeply immersed these past weeks in yoga and meditation as I've been doing my second teacher training in Hatha yoga, and it's been so inspiring. And I will be doing an online 4-week beginner's course in May, so I will post about it. And this week's episode is all about purpose, mindset, and also human design with Melissa Kirk. Melissa Kirk helps others to get to the deep work that it takes to tackle our innermost problems as well as our toughest business decisions. She combines wellness and business in a seamless way, using her degree in psychology and business, along with concepts like human design, astrology, scientific hand analysis, and Theta healing, and is passionate about helping others to succeed. And in this episode, we talk about how you can change your mindset. We get into what Theta healing is, human design, how to change your vibration, your purpose and your path, and also scientific hand analysis. And I'm so excited to share this episode, and it's been also sponsored by Ace of Air this week. Ace of Air is a newly launched beauty and wellness brand committed to products that put people and planet above all. Their line of clean, vegan, and cruelty-free skincare and supplements have been synergistically formulated at the intersection of herbalist wisdom and modern science, focusing on rituals that work from the inside out. Inspired by Mother Nature's ability to create abundance without waste, Ace of Air is the first and only beauty and wellness brand designed to be entirely circular and fully zero waste. And you can explore more and learn more about Ace of Air, which I really, really love, on aceofair.com, and on Instagram it's at Ace of Air. And also I've been sharing full moon and new moon insights each month on their Instagram page with deeper tips and tools for rituals for each lunation. So I highly recommend that you check them out, follow them on Instagram, and I really hope that you enjoy this week's episode. Hi Melissa, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
So
it's nice
great
to be here with you.
Yeah, great to have you here. And I would love for you to share any tips or any practice that you have to stay mindful every day.
So I do have quite a few daily things that one of the things is I've really made a conscious effort to notice when I'm being critical or my mind starts going in a negative pattern, and to just stop it and refocus on either something else entirely or just refocus on maybe a different perspective of the current situation. And it took a long time for me to recognize it and get in the habit of, thinking positively. But I really noticed how it's changed. It's changed a lot of things in my life, even from just the type of people that I attract. So, I don't have a lot of negative people in my life anymore. And I don't even realize it until I'm around someone that is complaining or just kind of stuck in their own issue. And it's just like it's glaring in my face when I'm around that. So when I experience it, it really lets me know how much, my own mindset has changed and how my own focus has changed. And then also like how many amazing people I have in my life now. It's totally different.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you, and maybe you can share with the listeners who you are and what you do right now.
So my name's Melissa Kirk, and I started on a healing and empowerment journey probably about 15 years ago when I left a really abusive 20-year relationship. By the time I ended the relationship and walked away from it, I was very disconnected to who I was. I had a lot of negative mindsets, programs, felt really poorly about myself. And I also had been a stay-at-home mom for over 10 years, and I really felt that I had the need to reinvent myself. So I started on a journey of doing healing work. I was a massage therapist at the time, and I was very intuitive about what things were going on in someone's body and disease or disruptions and things like that. And then what I would find is my clients would go to the doctor and they would tell them that they were fine and there was nothing wrong. But they were telling me about things that were wrong, and I knew that there was an imbalance or something that needed to be corrected. But I at that time didn't really know how to address the issues. So I started doing a lot of different training. And the trainings that I did are from all aspects of the person. So I approach people with their emotional issues, their spiritual issues, the body, and all encompassing nutrition. So in just creating awareness even is the first step. And then how is this relating to them because of the foods that they're eating or from the way that they think and their mindset? And I started, one of the tools that I was introduced to and was very impactful for me was when I started doing NLP and Theta healing. And I stuck more with the Theta healing side. They're both mindset, and they work similarly. Theta healing is the name of the technique that I'm trained in, and it's basically similar to hypnosis because hypnosis is putting your brainwave in a theta state, and that's when you're most open to change and suggestion and healing. And so I started working a lot on people's mindsets in my coaching practice and also in my healing practice, and learning how different emotions create different disease, how belief systems that are in our DNA, whether they're from us or from our ancestors, somehow are programs in our body, and how to recognize them and change them to be more empowering to what our goals are. One of the other things that I did was really learning about myself and learning about scientific hand analysis, human design, and astrology. And what that did was give me a blueprint for my potential, a direction for how I'm here to fulfill my purpose and serve others. And then the mindset work really helped me to get out of my own way, to get rid of my head trash, to start thinking about things differently and be empowered in what I did, instead of always sitting in the shadow side or in the wounds of, life. So that's kind of my journey, and that's kind of the process I take my clients through. Is I help them with their blueprint for success. I help them to understand it, and then I help them implement it into their life, whether that be to create physical healing or make more money in their business or transform their relationships. When you're truly in alignment with who you're supposed to be, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I very much agree with that. And when we go with that flow, that's when we discover like our highest potential as well. And I think it's so interesting that you have used different modalities, not only one, when you're helping others in this process, because I always say also that the mind is, and the mindset is really where we can start to feel empowered firstly. And
it starts there.
Go ahead.
It just all starts there. If you have a lot of negative and limiting beliefs, and there's only so far you can go. It's interesting because I started getting a lot of clients that are not really on the spiritual side, but they started to realize that was what was missing in their business. And even though they didn't understand it, they knew it was important. And I started working with, people that weren't used to that spiritual approach. And they get amazing results. It's really fun to see how, they can just skyrocket because they have all the business frame and the business sense and the money-making powers. But when they shift their mind and start thinking about things differently and approach life differently, deal with their past wounds and programs, it's amazing how you can just catapult in life.
Yeah, definitely. And when you started your work with the healing part, did you find that you were working a lot with your intuition, and did you discover other gifts on that path?
Yes, there is. That healing process is a very intuitive process and an intuitive path. And then the trainings I took really helped me to understand what they represented and how to go about approaching it. But the healing process, is really about digging deep and getting to the root cause of what's happening. Because most people, what they're working with is these symptoms that aren't really the problem. For instance, if they're overweight, the problem isn't really about being the overweight, it's about their need for protection. And it's about self-sabotage and not embracing and loving yourself. So when you work with those things, the weight will just come off as a byproduct. Same thing with money issues. Somebody that's not making enough money, that's just a symptom. And what I really try to do is get down deep into the causation. Where did this come from? Did it start with your ancestors? Was this a program that's been passed down, from generation to generation? Or did something happen to you that caused this, that now you continually get in a situation of sabotage for yourself? So it's really uncovering those root issues and dealing with the healing of that, which creates the repair on all levels of your life. It's pretty amazing how it works. And I've been doing it for myself and working on myself and my own limiting beliefs in that area for like the last 15 years. So it's interesting when I go back in times when I journaled or, I recently found a client list from about 12 years ago, and I was looking at it and I did not resonate with it. And it created a lot of awareness for me how much I've changed, because it's a gradual thing. You don't see it. But then when you arrive at a different place and you look back, I didn't resonate with the people, the ones that I could remember, the problems I was dealing with them, are like they're not even anywhere in my life anymore. So it's pretty exciting to see the change when you look back and appreciate, the growth that you've had. And it gives you the desire to do more and keep improving.
Yeah, definitely. That's so important. And what you said also, like how our mindset, it does attract things that vibrate on that level. It's so important to remember that, to create something that we want through having the right energy, and as well what you said, that it's so important to find the root cause of something and not the symptom, and try to just healing the symptom. It's so important to go so much deeper. So the healing maybe starts on the level of the symptom, but then go deeper to find the root, actually. So I really try to think about that as well in healing work. And I'm also really interested in how you came into doing the work with law of attraction and the human design part, and how you've been helping others with that.
Sure. Well, I got a certification as a law of attraction coach. It was actually one of the first things that I did on this journey about 15 years ago. What happened for me was I started really having some healing and physical issues of my own. And I was noticing that I was having a lot of liver problems. And when you look at all the things that contribute to liver problems, like toxicity, medications, drugs, alcohol, all those types of things, I had never really done any of those things. And I couldn't figure out why my liver was so toxic. And then I started learning about the emotional components of each organ and each system in the body, and realized that I had really been very, very angry for a long time. And I feel that that was where my liver was being destroyed, was with all my emotions and my anger. And when I started looking at the law of attraction and taking some courses on it, and then I got certified in it. And, the focus in law of attraction is really that changing your vibration, because like attracts like. So if you are in a negative emotional pattern all the time, you're going to get really low level things coming into your life. And so I knew I really had to start learning how to look at my emotions and have some techniques for raising my vibration and having a better outlook, not being so upset about situations, and learning how to ride just go with the flow. And so that was one of the first things that I did. And then, I really noticed a correlation with healing. The reason why different healing modalities, such as so if you look at essential oils, every plant vibrates at a certain vibration, and every organ in the body vibrates at a vibration that is arranged for the health of that organ. And when you put an essential oil in it, your body reads the DNA code and then goes to the organ that is supposed to match that same vibration. And so I started learning, how to shift that kind of thing, and then work on my mindset and work on whenever, like I said in the beginning, whenever I notice that I'm being super critical, or I'm mad at something, or I'm just having these negative thoughts going on, I'm much better now at recognizing it, so then I can shift it to something else, either just to let that go and not concentrate on whatever that is, or to look at it from a different perspective and put a new emotion with it. And it really changes your physical health, your mental well-being, but also like the things you attract. Nobody really wants to be around someone that's negative and complaining all the time. And most people don't even know that they're doing it. So it's, my journey was a lot about awareness, and a lot about, just shifting those types of things and focusing on something different. And, that's a lot what I create with my clients, is when I hear their negative, what they're saying, when I'm listening to someone, I'm listening for all their belief systems. I'm listening for how they think things work. And then I'm trying to help them to get in touch with, well, what would you like instead? And create new patterns for their thinking and beliefs and what they're speaking out, because our words manifest. So that's a lot of what I'm doing with my clients. I have a set of money like angel cards, but it's a money deck. And each one of the cards is, what a wealthy person would think, and how to shift your thinking to a positive money mindset and get rid of the head trash, looking at their behaviors. Like, most people that are poor, they spend all their money every week. Whenever they get paid, the money's gone. They don't know how to invest. So it's changing your patterns, your thoughts, your beliefs, what you say. It's all of that. And then as you get good at it, it starts really changing your reality and you start picking up momentum.
Yeah. And if there's anyone here that's listening that might not know what human design is, which you work with, how would you explain that system?
So human design compiles several systems: the I Ching, the tree of life, the chakra system. And what it is, it's based on your date of birth, time of birth, and location. So it has an astrology component also. And it's a chart that looks roughly like a person, and it has 9 different centers representing different parts of life, considering like your crown and outside inspiration, your head, your heart, throat. There's 9 different centers creating this chart. And it tells you energetically how you're designed to operate. It tells you how you are designed to make decisions, what your life purpose is here, and what will bring fulfillment. A lot of people make a lot of money, but they never really reach the satisfaction they're capable of because they're missing their purpose, and they're missing the people they're here to impact and how they're here to deliver it. And so they never really create the influence that they're designed to have. And so when you start to understand your human design, it teaches you how you're here to operate in the world. And it's unique to you. And it also helps you to understand about other people. And, sometimes that understanding of someone else, and when you have understanding about their behavior, you don't take it personally, and you can build the relationship in a different way and learn how to support each other. These charts can be combined into groups or individual 2-person relationships. And the dynamic of the relationship when you're together is different when each of you are separate. So you can learn all kinds of things about how you're designed to work as an employee, how you're designed to work in a relationship, what is just your natural way of operating and what you're good at. And so one of the things I notice with my clients is that many of them set their whole life up to overcome their challenges instead of hiring or accepting their challenges and focusing on their genius. Because we all have a genius. We all have a way of delivering information or operating in a way that impacts and makes us happy and satisfied. Again, when you know your purpose, doesn't matter how much money you make, if you're not in your purpose, it's not fulfilling. So it really helps get you to understand the potential that you came in with and the things that you're not meant to do, and to give you permission not to struggle with those things, but get support in those areas. And then you can align other parts of your life with your potential and with what your natural strengths and genius are. So that's what I'm doing with my clients, is helping them work through relationship issues, looking at their chart, help them restructure their business in accordance to what they're good at and what they're meant to do, instead of, struggling to overcome things that they're not really designed to do in the first place. It's a lot of permission, and it changes their whole energy. And it's so fun when you point out something that's in someone's chart that is and they start lighting up because they love doing that. And it's like they already know what you're telling them sometimes, but they just didn't realize this is their formula. This is their blueprint for success. And if that's all that they do, how fulfilling life will be. It creates a lot of focus and just fulfillment, success, accomplishment when you start aligning with your natural strengths. It's very powerful. It was very life-changing for me. And that's why I started learning how to understand the database and teach the information to other people, and step into another level of my own purpose by the acknowledgement of what's in my chart.
Yeah, it's really an interesting system, and I'm also really curious about the different types of let's say purposes that these different charts can present. Like how do you know what type of are they also aligned with what type of purpose you have on a bigger scale? Like, let's say in astrology you can say that a certain sign has a certain role in themselves, but also in society. Is that also how do you have any examples of the human design
Yeah.
model?
So in astrology, whenever you ask somebody their sign, they usually will tell you your sun sign. They don't know them. There's 10 other things in the chart. Well, there's even more than that, but each planet is in a different sign, and you have a rising sign, you have a moon, and the main three aspects when I'm doing astrology with someone is where the location of those planets are, because there's 12 houses, and each house represents a different sign in a different area of life. And where the sun sign is, that holds, the reason people know what their sun sign is because that holds the most energy of the chart. So I have a focus on that when I'm working with astrology, but it's a similar thing because it does have an astrology component in the human design. So there is exactly that, a focus on where the sun is. But in the human design, the way that the chart is designed is it brings in where the sun and planet positions were 88 days before you were born. And that brings in all of your DNA and the things, the talents, the skills, and things that are passed down from generation to generation comes through that part of the chart. And it's mixed with where all the planet positions were at the time of birth. And so when we're working on, it's in human design, it's called the incarnation cross. And that is where the sun and the earth, how their connection to each other, and how they line up with the sun and earth 88 days before you were born. And it gives you, so my incarnation cross is the left angle cross of confrontation. And it comes out of the Queen Gate. And the left angle cross means that I'm here to influence the other. I have to have other people in order to fulfill my purpose. My life isn't really about me, it's about my impact I make. And coming out of the Queen Gate just means that I have lots of resources. I'm here to make sure that everyone has what they need. The Queen makes sure that her tribe is taken care of. And then it's there to confront. So the left angle cross of confrontation means that what isn't doing well, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be said, what's out of alignment, I'm here to confront that. And that person is also in charge of education, right? The Queen's in charge of making sure that the future generations are solid. And so as I started to understand that, I really realized one of the things I love to do is teach, and I teach a lot of different classes. I certify people in a lot of the modalities that I do. And that's really in alignment with my incarnation cross and my purpose through the human design. But how I fulfill it, one of the basics of the charts and the way that you start is with the types. And there are 5 different types, and my type happens to be what's called a manifesting generator. I have the highest energy and unstoppable power from a physical standpoint. That's what's in my chart. And so when I started to become aware of that, it started to make sense to me why, other people really a lot of times can't keep up with me or what I'm designed to do. I'm a powerhouse. I'm here to be a worker, but the manifesting part turns me into also like a visionary. And I have visionary stuff in my chart where I start working with, I have a lot of clients with small businesses. A lot of times I'm acting as the CEO and the visionary in their business because that's the design of my chart. And they may not have that ability in theirs. And so I can help fill in the gaps in that way. And I also, in my chart, have crisis resolution and conflict resolution. So it's one of the things that's always drawn me to helping people and being a coach, the consulting that I do. I mean, I started this when I was at a very young age where people would ask me for advice. And there's all different components. There's a place in there that's called your profile that helps you to understand what your public role is. And so when you combine all these things into the workplace, you turn into a well-oiled machine doing exactly what you're designed to do. And so that was really insightful for me. And it helped me to really understand how other people, where their limits are and what they're good at, and rely on them for those things. And then also not try to do things that I'm not good at. I don't like the detail work, but everything in my chart is really set up for management. It's not set up for me to do the fulfillment of the work. So when I started to realize that and started getting support in my own business to fill those gaps, then I'm spending the majority of the time in my business doing the things I love. So it's really shifted so many things. And that's what I helped other people to get clarity on through their chart, where their genius is, what they're here to do, the impact they're here to make, and how they are designed to fulfill it.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting. And there's so many people who don't feel really fulfilled or that they're really doing what they love in their job. Maybe it's the type of business, or maybe it's the actual daily routines that don't feel exactly aligned. But I think this tool is so important to start to understand, like, how can I create more ease and more flow and just do what I'm here to do, so I can like give back to the world even more than I'm doing right now. But I think it's really hard for people to, first of all, like figure out what it is, because we've been conditioned to do certain things in society and then not questioning so much, and it can be really hard because, as you said, we all have different strengths and weaknesses, and when we focus on what we're really what we can have, like, do more, as I said, with ease and more with flow, then that's what we are supposed to do. But I love the chart, and I'm also curious how, because I'm in the final months of studying Chinese medicine, like how that has been represented, and can you see in a chart like what you have to work with when it comes to health and healing the body?
Absolutely. Each one of the organs in the body is represented in a different area of the chart. So what I teach people is how to understand and operate that area of the chart in alignment with them. So when there is a planet activating a piece of the chart, it makes the chart, that part of the chart, defined, and it's colored in, and it's a skill set that you own. It's a toolkit that you came in with. And when it's defined, that area of the chart operates differently than someone whose chart is undefined. So what the point of it is understanding which organ correlates with which part of the chart, and then you operating in accordance to your chart. So if it's defined, you operate in one way, and if it's undefined, you operate in another way. And so through understanding the chart, they can really start to understand and pinpoint where their health issues are, like what is causing the problem. For instance, if you have, if people that are having thyroid issues, that's connected to the throat area of the chart. And so if they are defined in the throat, that means they have a consistency in their speech, their ability to manifest and communicate. But if they are defined and designed to speak out and talk about their truth, and they never say what they need to say, it starts causing disease in the thyroid. It starts making dysfunction in the thyroid, parathyroid, and it could even be the vocal cords, things like that, that are associated with the throat. So how you learn is by looking at the chart, and if it's not defined in that area and you're having issues there, then maybe you're speaking out of turn. Maybe you talk too much, or you're just speaking out of alignment and out of congruence. You know, it's really important to be who you are designed to be. One of the pieces on my journey, when I would look at places in my chart and read about what it meant and how I was designed to be, and I didn't resonate with it, I would a lot of times look at the way it looks in my mom's chart and realize that I had been conditioned to do things the way that she was designed to do, not me. So a lot of our upbringing and our situations or things that we go through, abuse or whatever, takes us out of alignment with ourselves. So when you start to understand who you naturally are, then you can start aligning with that, and it makes the whole body function differently and helps with disease in your health as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I have one last question, which I'm finding so interesting and never really heard of, that you also work with, is the scientific hand readings. And what is that? Because we all know, like, also in Chinese medicine, you can read actually different parts of the body, and the nails and the facial reading and all of that. But is this from that modality, or how are you working with that?
Yeah, it's called scientific hand analysis, and your hands are connected to your brain. And so it can show me what is your natural tendencies, but then also what's actually going on in the brain based on all the lines in your brain or in your hands. But also the fingerprint patterns have been scientifically proven that they don't change. And they are where your life purpose, your life lesson, and your life school, which is your spiritual foundation, what you're here to overcome, how you're designed to deliver your gifts, and what your soul's desire was when you came into a physical body. So for an example of that, I was a massage therapist when the first time I got my hands read. And, you know, my business was doing well. I was helping people, and, you know, it wasn't, just like I said before, you can make all this money and it just not be fulfilling because the money doesn't fulfill. And so when I had my hands read, I was told that I was here to be in front of a large audience to speak a message that I take complicated information and make it easy to understand. And it's a one-to-many, but it's also about visibility and being seen. And here I was working all day in a dark room with one client at a time, and I'm not supposed to talk. And my alignment, and this goes the same thing in my astrology and my human design, was about my verbal message and about my communication style. You know, and Mercury is about, most people know Mercury retrograde, but Mercury is about technology, but communication. And Mercury in my astrology class, in my astrology chart, is in my place of business. And it's also in Gemini, which is at home, which is, you know, it makes it exalted and it makes it in its element because it's in Gemini. So here I was, you know, in a career where I'm not really supposed to communicate or say things. And I started to really understand what was missing. And that's what I help my clients do, is help them to understand that how they're here to fulfill it. It didn't really matter what I was doing as long as I was talking about it, as long as I had an audience, as long as I was taking information and sharing it in a way that was helping and impacting other people in a positive way. That makes me fulfilled. And that's what I love about what I do now. And, you know, part of that, one way of fulfilling that is teaching. And so a lot of the things that help me, that's why I learned and got trained and certified to be able to teach it to other people, because I can teach scientific hand analysis as well. So it's just interesting when you take the human design and you take the information from scientific hand analysis, you take the information from astrology, they all kind of overlay, but they give a different flavor of how it's expressed. But it's very congruent information and it's very empowering to get you on your path. So if you're looking for something's just off, something's not quite right, I want to feel more fulfilled, or I want to make a bigger impact, it will show up in those readings. And when you combine them together, you get the full picture. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's really, really holistic way of working. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. And do you have any last thing you want to share before we end this conversation?
I just challenge everybody that find what you're here for, figure out what you're here to do, because it makes your life so much easier. It doesn't mean that in your business there's not hard work, but it doesn't feel like work because it's connecting you with your passion and it puts you in a place what you're naturally good at. And if you're struggling at something, it's probably not something that you're here to do. It's probably out of alignment with your design. And I'll just tell you that my life, since I started implementing and aligning with all the ways that I'm designed to be, it's been very life-changing for my everything in my life, my business, my relationships. It impacts everything. So for me on my journey, that was the biggest impact that really set me on a different path. And, you know, it just is, my whole life is different and how I feel about everything. So I invite you to find out more about yourself. It's very helpful.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for taking your time to share your wisdom here with all of us. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to connect with Melissa, you can find her links in the show notes. And I hope that this episode inspires you to take conscious decisions, creating deeper change in your mind and understanding how you can live your purpose. And thank you to everyone who's been leaving reviews and just putting in ratings on iTunes. It's been helping the podcast to grow. It's really a beautiful thing that you can do to just create a web of positive and loving energy in the world. Thank you so much. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out. And thank you for listening.